Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie and this is the Breakfast Club book tag. As I said, this is the Breakfast Club book tag. I saw this over at my girl Bree's blog, which is Falling for Romance. I will link that blog down in the description box if you guys want to go check that out, which I think you should because she's amazing. She used to be a booktuber and now she is focusing on blogging, and I really am loving her insight on herself and her love for romance. But yeah, I love that she's giving us so many photos, coffee shop photos and stuff like that of the romance books and books in general that she's reading, and it's fun to watch her grow in that format and stuff like that. I miss her over here on BookTube, but you know, you have to go where your heart tells you to go. So, but I saw this tag that she did and I thought it was really interesting and decided to put it into a video form. So here we go. And it's all based on the cult classic, The Breakfast Club, which is awesome. So there's only 5 characters, I believe it is. Yeah, 5 characters, and I'm going to give you guys some books to go along with those characters. Our first character is the princess. It's a book that is very popular and pretty on the outside, but I thought it was uninteresting and on the inside. Just didn't do it for me. And I'm going to have to go with Twisted Romance, volume number 1 by Alex de Campi. And this is a group or anthology of graphic novels and short stories. And they're all in different sort of formats. And I was all excited about reading this. I think I saw it over on somebody else's channel and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to read it for Smutathon or Contemporary-thon because somebody had recommended it. And I was like, yep, went out and got it. And yeah, not my cup of tea. I mean, I really didn't enjoy any of the stories in here, and now it just sort of sits on my shelf. I probably will unhaul it because it's not like it's a signed copy or anything like that. It's just not my cup of tea. There's short stories in here, and then there's graphic novel or graphic like little comic strips and stuff like that. I think I may have liked one of the stories, but they're short story. They're short like clippets. So it's like 1 or 2 pages of story and you jump into the story in the middle of it, and it just didn't work for me. So yeah, looks pretty on the outside. No, didn't do it for me. The next is The Criminal. This is a book that sounds or looks rough on the outside, looks bad, but ends up completely stealing my heart. I'd have to go with The Martian. Super surprising, right? So The Martian by Andy Weir is a science fiction novel about what would happen if we went to Mars and then things happen where we ended up leaving an astronaut on Mars. And I loved this book, although it took me 3 times to finally read it. I wasn't able to read it in physical form. I actually had to get the audiobook, and once I listened to the audiobook, I was all in. I was there for it. I was in that story with Mark Watney, and I was all for it. And then I saw the movie, and Matt Damon did an amazing job, and their cinematography was great, and I just ended up loving that book and that movie. Next is The Brain, and that is a book that made you think. Now, I have 2 books for you for this one. The first book I'm going to talk about is A Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. I talk about this book a lot on my channel because this book is gonna make you think. I mean, there are other books from Kennedy Ryan that I could tell you guys to read and stuff like that, and I'm lost for words right now. But this book right here, this one in particular, will make you think and rethink and empathize and get all into your feelings about what you think you know about someone that is dealing with domestic violence that you may not have known. And to know the backstory along with the story itself, the fact that Kennedy Ryan, when she started writing this story, she had to stop and not base the story off of her own stereotypical beliefs or prejudices that she may have had, or things that she thought she knew. She stopped writing, and then she went and researched and talked to survivors and talked to, women in the shelters and things like that, and safe havens, and just to get the story right and to get it so just, oh my God. Oh my goodness. This book is going, if you've never been in that situation, it's going to take you on that emotional ride that puts you almost in the shoes of someone that is dealing with domestic violence or that has dealt with domestic violence. And it is emotional, and it's graphic, and it is just so moving. It made me rethink everything that I thought I knew. And, we should never go into something not being open to learning something new, and this book definitely showed me that. And the second book that I'm going to talk about is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Now, I listened to this as an audiobook, so I can't tell you exactly how it would be if I was to read it. I believe it is in prose, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not big on the whole terms, but it is poetry. It's a book or story of poetry, and when I listened to it as an audiobook, it sounded as if it was a short story. So this is a story for me, because it was an audiobook, about a young man that is riding in an elevator after he finds out that a family member has been killed. And this is sort of that Christmas story, the one where you have, Christmas past, Christmas future, Christmas present, that not fairy tale, or sort of look into this young man's life. He's visited by a couple people in the span of an elevator ride, and it is so emotional. It's just like, wow, just so many emotions, and so many looks at a community and how people can see things and learn from what they have experienced, all impacted into like a 3-hour story. It was absolutely phenomenal. Jason Reynolds narrates this story in audiobook form, and I just loved it. His timing just made it that much better to really sort of get that point across, what he was trying to show his audience, and, I guess open their minds to knowing something different. The next is The Basket Case, and that is a book that people would call me crazy for reading, and I had to sit on this one for a little while, but I have to go with 50 Shades Trilogy by E.L. James. And I know I love that book. I love the trilogy. I absolutely love it, and I love the movies. I totally fangirl over E.L. James. A friend of mine, Amanda from The Naughty Librarian, she actually went to the book signing for The Mister and got me a signed, personalized copy from E.L. James. She's still one of my unicorns to try and meet as an author, but I love the trilogy. I absolutely adore the trilogy. Are there issues with the story, or, with how the relationship forms and all the things that they have to go on? Yeah, sure there are. But in every relationship, there are those different little nuances and things that happen within a relationship. But, I'm not going to stand here and say that it is literary, award-winning type material either. But it's entertaining, and I absolutely adore the series, and people call me crazy all the time for loving it as much as I do. And then finally we have The Athlete, and that is a book that made me struggle or work to finish, and I have 2 books for that as well. The first one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I didn't get it. I didn't get this one, and this is probably why I haven't finished the trilogy. I own it. I own it in paperback. I own it in audiobook. I need to finish the series, because from what I understand, it does get better. But the first book, I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all whatsoever. Nope. And then the second book is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is a unpopular opinion and controversial opinion when it comes to this book. I talk about it on my channel, or I have talked about it on my channel a couple times. I have a full rant video that I'll put up over there, so you guys can go check that out. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds of it. I just feel that it is imbalanced and that there are better stories out there about this social injustice that actually get the point across besides this book. I think this book is actually very detrimental to our youth and don't show them the problem, and as well as showing them a way to sort of work through that problem. I think it just shows them that there is an issue. It doesn't help them at all. And like I said, there are plenty of other books that do both showing of a social injustice as well as showing a way to combat the issue. So there we go. So that is the Breakfast Club book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys will go over and take a peek at Bree's blog, because she has been giving out some amazing recommendations and reading some amazing books that have massively grown my TBR as well. So, you know, let me know what you thought about the books that I have talked about here in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.